Which of the following statements is true? 9 over 28 is less than or equal to 1/4. Negative 7 is greater than negative 6.9. 1/8 is equal to 0.135. 3/5 is less than 11 over 15. Or 2/3 is equal to 0.666. So for these, I'm just going to use the process of elimination to figure these out. So the first one to eliminate is E. I know that 2/3 is, if you do 2/3 in the calculator, 2 divided by 3, that is 0.66666 on and on forever. So obviously, this number is not the exact same as that. If you were to round it, they're close to the same, but they're not the exact same. So I know these guys are not equal, so I'll cross that one off first. Next one I'm going to look at is B. This says negative 7 is greater than negative 6.9. Negative 7 is a bigger negative number than negative 6.9, so it's further to the left. So because it's further to the left, that means it's less than negative 6.9. So right off the bat, basically anything further to the left, anything further in the negative direction is a smaller number. So I'm going to cancel B off right away. So now I have 9 over 28 is less than or equal to 1/4, and 1/8 equals 0.135, and 3/5 is less than 11/15. I'm just going to make these easier, I'm just going to convert them into decimal form. So let's do that. So I've got 9 divided by 28 is 0.3214, and then 1/4 is just 0.25. So this says 0.25 is greater than or equal to 0.3214. So that's not true. This number is smaller than that, so it's not greater than that, so I'll cancel that one off. Okay, let's look at C. C is 1/8, so that's 0.125 equals 0.135. These aren't equal. This is 0.125, that's 0.135, so it's not C. Definitely going to be D then, but just to prove it, let's look at D. So D, 3 divided by 5 is going to give you 0.6. So 0.6 is less than 11 over 15. 0.733. So 0.733 is greater than 0.6. So that seems to make sense. So that's D. Okay, number 2. Simplify 2 times x squared minus 3x minus 3x times x minus 4. Okay, to simplify this, I'm just going to distribute my 2 into both of those terms. So I got this 2 multiplied by this. And then I'll distribute my negative 3x into both of these terms. At that point, I'll be able to drop my parentheses and then just combine my like terms, and that will be simplifying it. So 2 times x squared will give me 2x squared. 2 times negative 3x gives me negative 6x. Negative 3x times x will give me negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times negative 4 gives me positive 12x. Now, let's just combine like terms. All right, I've got these x squared terms here. 2 minus 3 will give me negative 1x squared. Negative 6 plus 12x will give me plus 6x. Negative 6 plus 12 gives me plus 6. So I've got plus 6x. And let's see which of these ones that matches with. That is A. Which of the following is equal to 5y to the negative 2? Okay, so 5y to the negative 2, when you have your exponent on the outside, if you're raising this whole thing up to the negative 2, that means this negative 2 is going to have to go on to both of your terms inside the parentheses. So when you're multiplying, if there's no addition or subtraction here and you're raising to the negative 2, you can just put that onto each of your terms. So this is the same thing as saying 5 to the negative 2 and y to the negative 2. And whenever you have a negative exponent, what you can do is just rewrite this with, if you flip it and put in the denominator, it's just the same thing. So we can just make this 1 over 5 squared. So if you just put in the denominator, the exponent becomes a positive, so it's 5 squared and y squared. And our negative exponents just became positive then. And 5 squared is just the same thing as 25. So you get 1 over 25 y squared. This is our solution. So where is that? Right here. Okay, find the slope of the line with equation 3x plus 2y minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so to do this one, we just want to find the slope. And this is a linear equation, and we know that because our x is just an x. It's not x squared, it's not x cubed. It's a first degree function. So ultimately, we want to just turn this into this form. Let's get this into this form of y equals mx plus b. And remember, m represents your slope, b represents your y-intercept. So if we can take this function and put in this form, and then just look at whatever that m value is, that's going to be your slope. So ultimately, let's just get y on its own, and then we'll have our solution. So my goal is to get y on its own on one side of the equation. So first, let's add 7 to both sides. That cancels out. Now I have 3x plus 2y equals 7. Okay, now I want to get this y on its own, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. These cancels out. And 7 minus 3x, these aren't like terms, so I can just rewrite this as 2y equals negative 3x plus 7. Now I want to get that 2 off of that term, so I want to get that 2 off the y, so it says 2 multiplied by y, so I'm going to do the opposite of that. Divide both sides by 2. Those cancel out. And this is just y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 7 over 2. And let's see, where's my slope? Which of these is my slope? It's whatever's the coefficient in front of the x. So that will be your slope. So negative 3 over 2, right there. Okay, number 5. A rectangular field is 30 feet wide and is enclosed by 220 feet of fencing. What is the area of the field in square feet? Okay, so a rectangular field is 30 feet wide. So we have this field, and it's 30 feet wide. So let's just make my widths. I know are going to be, it's rectangular, so it's a rectangle, right? So these are 30 feet wide and is enclosed by 220 feet of fencing. What is the area of the field in square feet? So I know that I have 220 total feet of fencing. It's got 30 feet on both of these parts, and we got to find out what the area is. So if both these parts are 30, that means that these parts together are going to be whatever's left from 220. So if we subtract both these from 220, we'll have basically however much fence we have left after those two width parts. So let's do 220, and we will subtract 60. 30 plus 30 gives me 60. This would give me 160. So I have 160 feet left for both of these two sides of the fence. So I need two sides that are going to be equal because it's a rectangle. So I'll take 160 divided by 2. Gives me 80. So I've got 80 and 80 feet. So I've got all my sides figured out now. So the area of a rectangle is just area is equal to length times width. So my length is 80. My width is 30. So 80 times 30, you could pull your calculator out for this, would just give you 2,400. That is C. 80 times 30 gives me 2,400. Okay, this is an illustration of the solution set for which inequality below. Okay, so what this point actually says is it's filled in, so we know it's going to be an or equal to, and it's going to the right, so it's going to be to the right greater than. So it's going to be, we can say it's going to be a what that says right there is x is greater than or equal to -3/5. So I just got to find out which of these is ultimately that. Okay, so all my x's have a coefficient of 5 on them. So to get that, I would just imagine if I'd multiplied both sides by 5, I would have 5x is greater than or equal to -3. And that goes with right here. Okay. When buying airline tickets on the web, there's an added fee of 1 1/4% on the price of each ticket purchased. If a ticket from Boston to Raleigh costs $150, what is the additional fee to the nearest cent? Okay, so the additional fee is just going to be 1 1/4% of $150. So let's find out what that is. So if we do $150 times, and 1 1/4%, that's just 1 1/4% is the same thing as saying 1.25%, because this just means 1 plus 1/4. So we have 1.25%. And if I want to go from percent to decimal, I would just need to divide this value by 100. So 1.25 divided by 100 gives me 0.0125. So I'm going to do 150 times 0.0125. So I'm doing 150 times 0.0125. Let's do that. 150 times 0.0125. And that will give me 1.875. 1.875. Okay, so we get 1.875. Now, dollars and cents, they only go up to the hundredths place. You don't ever have a thousandth of a penny, of a thousandth of a cent. So this would just round to $1.88 because the 5 rounds up. So B. Okay, number 9. Simplify 2 plus square root of 7 squared. Now this time you can't just distribute your squared sign onto each of these because we have a plus between. So if there's a plus or minus between, you can't just put the exponent onto the things inside. What you need to do is you have to, so if we have 2 plus the square root of 7 squared, and because there's a plus or minus inside, we have to rewrite this as 2 plus square root of 7. We just got to rewrite it times 2 plus square root of 7. Now I can just distribute these. So I'll do 2 times 2 gives me 4. 2 times square root of 7. 2 and square root of 7 aren't the same exponent, so they're just going to be written as 2 times square root of 7. It wouldn't be simplified if we wrote it any other way. If we wrote, okay, now let's distribute our square root of 7. Square root of 7 times 2, that's just 2 square root of 7. Square root of 7 times square root of 7. The square root of something times the square root of the same thing. Just those square roots will cancel out, and we'll have 7. So we get 4 plus 7 gives me 11. And now 2 square root of 7 plus 2 square root of 7. These are the same kinds of terms, so we can just add up our coefficients. And we get 4 square root of 7. And 4 square root of 11 plus 4 square root of 7 is D.